Hello everybody, I am Levi, and, well, you read the title. We're doing this again. I really enjoyed the last time I did a pickups video. It was really fun for me to do. I really like talking about games, even if they're not games I fully understand. I'll leave a link in the description if you have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm kind of jumping into this, assuming you have context. Let's get to it. So, to start, I'm just going in console order or whatever, sort of. I didn't necessarily get any new PC games, but I did get a new Oculus Rift game that I have yet to try. It is called In Death. I will show a screenshot. Bam. I don't exactly know what this is. Basically, the Oculus servers were experiencing some difficulties a month or so ago, and they basically decided that if you tried to log on during that time frame, you get, as an apology for things not going as well as they'd hoped with the servers, you get $15 credit on the store. So I was looking around for like a $10, $15 game that was like interesting to me, or maybe a bigger game that I just wanted to spend less on. And this is one that I'd never heard of. It's technically an early access game, but it reminded me a lot of things like Dark Souls or For Honor. It's just sort of like a medieval, like, invading a castle or whatever, and every enemy is like a one-on-one fight, but it's got a big emphasis on all types of combat. It's kind of like a more realistic version of Gorn, if you know what that is in VR. But I'm really interested in it, and if I choose to do any content creation on it, I believe Tony's interested in getting involved in that, so that's the VR game that I got. Nothing for the Xbox One, nothing new there. Then for the 360, no case, but I got Halo 3 ODST. So, me and John have completed Halo 1 on the channel, and we are planning on doing the entire franchise to the best of our abilities. So we have the Master Chief Collection, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I already had Reach, I believe? Yeah, I already have Reach. That I've had long before I started doing these types of videos. And so then there was still ODST, which I don't know a whole lot about, but I guess it's somewhere fitting in there. I think it's the last Bungie one, unless Reach is. I don't really know. I haven't looked into it enough. And we still don't know what we'll do with 5. As far as we can tell, he'd need to get an Xbox One for us to even play that, so who knows what's happening with that. But either way, I got that, and now I have every Halo game that me and John intend to play. So the next one is Enslaved: Odyssey to the West. This is a game that I used to hear about every now and then. I don't have that much of an idea of what it is. As far as I can tell, it's like a teamwork with an NPC, sort of like puzzle platformer, but it's also got some action adventure and apparently some really cool, like, rustic fantasy sci-fi type design to it. I really don't know what to expect going into this, but it looked interesting to me, so I picked it up. This one is one that I've heard about for a long time. I really didn't have the greatest idea what it is, but if you know the YouTube channel All Time Gaming, Chris, one of their main trio, was repeatedly recommending this to me when I came across it in a store. It's called Zone of the Enders, and this is 2 games. This is the first, and why is it so flushed out? Okay, you can tell what it is for the most part. But this is a Hideo Kojima game, or Hideo Kojima? Yeah, I said that right. Apparently, it's 2 games that launched on the PS2. I don't think they were particularly popular, at least not in the States. All I really know is it's something to do with... It has a heavy emphasis on, like, mech battles and stuff, and it's Kojima, so why not give it a try? That was my main reasoning behind it, but Chris is very interested in me getting involved in that, so I think it'll be fun. Then, onto the original Xbox, we have a game called Area 51. I don't really know what I'm getting into with this. I think it's I mean, everybody probably has the same assumption of it looking at the cover, and that's about where I stand with it. But when I was going around getting this, I was with Chris, and he said, "Oh, that's a game I really liked from my childhood. You should get it because it's $2." So I have it. I don't even know what genre it is. I'm guessing a shooter. Yeah, it looks like you get some sort of mutant powers, some type of... I don't even know if it's a first or a third-person shooter because they have pictures of both in this. But whatever it is, it seems interesting. It's got 4 players local. Maybe we'll find something to do with that. This one, Medal of Honor European Assault. I've heard mixed things about the franchise in general, but I've never actually tried or really even done research on the Medal of Honor franchise. So I found this one really cheap and I'm interested in trying it out. Although when I talked to some people about it, apparently the main one to go for in the series is Frontline, and this is European Assaults. But you know, maybe I'll get to that eventually. Then next I got Return to Castle Wolfenstein Tides of War. I'm just guessing that it's some sort of in-between of classic Wolfenstein and the modern Wolfenstein series. I don't have much more context for what this might be. But yeah, it has co-op campaign. That was the big reason that I was interested in it. And I don't know. The newer Wolfenstein games looks interesting to me, so I'm kind of interested in seeing what the franchise was doing around this era. And then the last one I got on the original Xbox is Ninja Gaiden, or Ninja Gaiden. I keep forgetting. I think I knew the official term based on what the developer said at one point, but I never remember now. They had like Ninja Gaiden Black and Ninja Gaiden Sigma or Ninja Gaiden 2 or whatever. They had a whole bunch of them, but I just know that they're very difficult 3D action games, sort of similar to Devil May Cry, but I guess a bit more refined and less big and flashy, I guess. But I can't even say that for sure because I really don't know. So yeah, I just got the one that was just Ninja Gaiden, no subtitle, because I'm guessing that's the one to try out. It's probably their first attempt. I don't know if it's their best attempt or not, but I figured it'd be the first one, so that's what I'm going to try for. Just sneaking in a bit here, there's one more that isn't quite here yet, but I figured I might as well include it on the list since I'd be getting it like the day after recording. And that is the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 collection on the PS4. That game, I've had the PS3 games for a while, but I've never gotten around to them, and this summer I really want to play the franchise. I have played Dream Drop Distance and that's it, but now I own almost the entire franchise in their original form, their PS3 form, and now their PS4 form, because I got the PS2 ones and didn't really know if I'd get those, and then I found out about the PS3 ones, so I got those because then I could get all the handheld games on there. But then a couple people told me the PS3 games were really broken, so I got them on PS4 now, and that also means they'll be easier to capture if I plan on recording or streaming any of it. But yeah, I got that, and that's not quite here, so I can't show it to you just yet, but it'll be here by the time the video's out, or maybe the day after the video's out. I don't know when this gets uploaded. Either way, back to PS3. On PS3, I got Infamous. Now, I have a fairly good understanding of Infamous Second Son, or no? Is that what it is? The one that was like a PS4, basically a launch title. Maybe it was a launch title. That one, I have a friend where I was present for the entire duration of him playing it. I've seen an entire playthrough of it online, and both of those included the DLC for it. But I really don't know much about, what is the guy's name, like Cole McGrath or Cole McGarth or something? I don't know. But I have two friends who have been very interested in me getting involved in this. Apparently the PS3 ones are even better than the PS4 one. I thought the PS4 one was kind of fun. Was pretty fun, so not sure what all this has to offer, but I guess I'll figure that out at some point. And then these are 3 games I got. I've been unsure if I wanted to get this because it's the Ratchet and Clank collection. Which ones is it? It's Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, and then other DLC stuff, demos. But I've been really interested in getting the PS4 remake of the first one. I just have not done enough research into the franchise in general to even know like the chronological order or how good that is of a starting point or anything. But I figured this would be worth picking up because I've been considering getting that one and then going back to the PS2 games in order, but I don't know if I care that much about all the remake stuff, so I figured I'd give the series a try on here because I do not have any history with the franchise at all. Then on to PS2, I got a game, Onimusha Warlords. This is a game I know, well, not a whole lot about. I think it's kind of a tactical beat-em-up samurai. I guess it's kind of like the Samurai Warriors series, if instead of crazy overpowered guys killing like hundreds of people with one button press or whatever, it's kind of like a cross between that and Ninja Gaiden, I believe, something like that. Here it has a very interesting plot, and that's something to look forward to, but honestly, I don't know a whole lot about this one. Most of what I know about it is I've seen the opening cutscene of it, and that's like the coolest cutscene I've ever seen in a game, so that's about all I knew going into it. And then I got Killzone, the very first one. I was considering getting others, I wasn't entirely sure though. The only Killzone game I've played is Killzone Mercenary on the Vita, which is a great game, and I've beaten that like 3 or 4 times. And I'm interested in seeing where the series started out on PS2, so I decided to get that. This game, this one has been on my wish list for a very long time, at least 2 or 3 years now at this point, and I didn't start keeping track of a wish list until like 2 or 3 years ago anyway. I haven't known too much about it until recently. A lot of what I know about this is from the YouTubers Caticarus for sure and G-Noggin, who I don't even remember what he said about that. I haven't watched his stuff in forever. But apparently it's a very interesting 3D platformer. This is probably the best version. I guess it's been ported a lot. I guess it was a late PS1 game or something like that. And it also came out on the 3DS, I think. But apparently this is the best version to get by a long shot, and apparently it's a very fun, very atmospheric, and pretty creative 3D platformer that's really gone under the radar for a lot of people. And then on to PS1, I got a game called Nuclear Strike, which I know the name sounded familiar to me, and it was $1. So that was enough to convince me to get it, because I was really interested in finding... I was looking for a bunch of PS1 games on my wish list, and I couldn't find any when I was there, but I saw this and I was like, that looks cool. But apparently it's some sort of, like, well, nuclear strike. You basically are flying around in a helicopter blowing stuff up, as far as I can tell on this, but we'll see when I give it a go. Never mind, it's broken. Can't give it a go anymore. We're fine. And on to PSP. I finally decided to try out that Facebook Marketplace thing. I never really checked Facebook for anything, but someone told me I should try that out if I was looking for anything, because sometimes I check Craigslist for interesting things to show up, and not a lot does, but I tried out Facebook Marketplace, and I've actually found some interesting things on there. The first one that I got on there was Final Fantasy on PSP thing, which they had like 7 or 8 PSP games. Most of them I didn't, like half of them I didn't really care about, and they were trying to bundle it with a PSP console, but I asked them about just buying the majority of the interesting games, and they were on board with that. So I got Final Fantasy Tactics: The War of the Lions, and this one's still new and sealed. I've heard very good things about the Final Fantasy Tactics series. I don't know if it's a series or if this is just a remake of something, but I I've heard so many good things. The Pixel Mixers community is freaking out at me about it all the time. Then I got Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, which is a game I've seen a bit of gameplay of, and it looks really interesting. Sort of a, I don't even know what to call it. It looks kind of like Darksiders from what I remember, but it's been a while since I've seen the footage. Although I guess it's best to have finished Final Fantasy VII before starting that. But apparently it's a very interesting action game. Then I got Final Fantasy IV, I think it is. This is one that I was not initially... It's so white, it's not showing up. There we go. This is one I wasn't initially interested in picking up because I just didn't know what all I'd be getting into. But when I was posting around in Discord servers like, hey, what do you think of this offer or whatever, apparently a lot of people who know the series way better than I do, since I've never played a Final Fantasy game, they really think this is a good buy. Apparently it's got like DS versions, mobile versions, NES versions, or whatever like that. And apparently the PSP version is just way, way above everything else. And apparently it's a really good game that not many people got to try. And this one was also new and sealed. So I'm interested in seeing what all that is. Like just a Final Fantasy game, I guess. Then the last one is Final Fantasy Dissidia Duodecim. Oh wait, no, it's Dissidia Duodecim Final Fantasy 012. I think it's a fighting game of some sort. I think it's a 2D fighting game, maybe 3D fighting game. But what I've been told is it is a very good game. And that's about it. A lot of people have been recommending it to me once I showed a picture of it being on a pile of games I was considering buying, and I almost got the first one, but I guess the first one is just bundled into the second one. This one's also new and sealed, so I'm interested in seeing what that is. Although I feel like I might have to play some more Final Fantasy games before I can understand all the context within it. And on to Nintendo, we will start with the Switch, which I got one new thing for the Switch. I got Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, which that has been going crazy in the poll, and me and Chris are planning on starting that sometime soon. I had Shovel Knight on the Wii U, except I never got around to playing it, and then they had the DLC, and so I figured I'd just get the newest version on the Switch, then I could take it anywhere, and I don't know. I figured it'd be a good buy to get it on the Switch, and since the Wii U has less features, and I don't know where the multiplayer stands, if it's even available without the amiibo, or if you have to beat the game first or whatever, so I figured getting it on the Switch was a good idea. And then the only non-game thing I got is I got a grip for the Switch, and this is like a really hard rubber. It doesn't really alter at all, but this is something I've been kind of interested in getting for the Switch for a while now. It just kind of fits on. It doesn't really feel that different as far as like the edges go, even though you can see a border. But it's a huge difference having these grips here. It also makes the Joy-Cons feel more intact. And one thing that I found out about this case that I did not expect is having it all conjoined so solidly into one piece. The HD Rumble, like, it has like double the effect that it did before with this case on, which I didn't expect, but I guess since it's all like one solid piece now, instead of just like the rails and maybe a little bit of leeway for them to fit in the rails, so that works really well, and I've really enjoyed using it because I kind of didn't like how there was just kind of laying on a flat back. I like the Wii U gamepad a lot more, how it has that grip there, and that's why I still, like, even with this on, I still prefer the Wii U gamepad for comfort, but this definitely gets it a step closer. I really like it. It doesn't block any ports or vents or anything. The kickstand is still there too, so it's something I just got because I was interested in seeing what they had to offer with this type of product, and Luis Alamilla, or Luis GVN, whatever he calls himself now, was shooting something around his Discord server. He's like, hey, look, for like 20 minutes, this thing is like $6 instead of 20. So I figured I'd try it out, and I thought it'd kind of be garbage that I'd want to return, but it's actually a huge step up, and I've had a few friends try it out, and I guess a lot of people really like it now. Actually, now that we're on the topic of Switch, something I actually had this during the time frame of the last video, I just didn't mention it because I didn't think about it. So this is the Joy-Con grip that the Switch comes with, and I just don't like how tiny these parts of it are. I find it very uncomfortable that there's not much grip at all and it feels very compact. But I decided to get a third-party one from, PowerA, which was like $8 online. And it is so much better because the back is rubber and it's like this is wider in the middle. It's like over twice as thick on the back and it's a rubber grip. And it makes it feel like an actual controller, and it's actually really comfortable in this grip. Even though it looks almost the same, it's much more comfortable. And I have some layers of tape here because on the right side, the rail here is a bit wobbly, but this just makes the Joy-Con fit in without the wobble. So I guess there's that to be aware of, but it might just be my Joy-Con since I took it apart and disassembled it. So it probably works fine if you're not doing stupid stuff like I am. And on the Wii U, I guess technically I didn't get anything on the Wii U, but I did get something on the Wii. On the last video I mentioned that the Wii Shop channel was ending and I had games I wanted to get off of the Wii Shop channel. And I didn't actually say what games I got off the Wii Shop channel, and now that I've gotten those games off the Wii Shop channel, I figured I'd go through them. So, the ones that I finally decided on, hopefully this shows up well, is I got Mega Man 3, I got Gunstar Heroes, which I've been wanting to get on the Genesis. Chris has really been recommending that to me, and I just never got around to getting it, but it was cheap and I got it on the Wii, so now I have Gunstar Heroes. And then I got Dragon's Curse, which this game was remade on the Switch recently, or maybe some game in the series is, but this is a TurboGrafx-16 game, and I really wanted to focus on some good TurboGrafx-16 games for when I was going through the Wii Shop channel, because I'm not going to be getting that console or games for it anytime soon. So this one looks really cool. I think it's like a fantasy 2D platformer of sorts. I don't exactly remember. Then I also got Ninja Spirit, which I believe is sort of like Ninja Gaiden, but with a bit more of a focus on combat, and maybe not, like, kill you constantly and fall in pits all the time levels of unfair difficulty or whatever. I got Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I've heard about this game for the longest time. I still don't really know what to say about it. I guess it's a mission-based game where you have to kill zombies, and it's just kind of goofy and very much a 90s game. And then I got Chrono Trigger, which I have already played this on the Vita, and I got something like halfway through it, and I got stuck at a boss, and it wouldn't let me backtrack to level grind, so I just never ended up finishing the game. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. So those are the games I ended up getting through WiiWare in addition to what I already have. Those are all games I'm interested in playing. The list was much longer on my want to get list, but those are the ones I ended up sticking with. Then on GameCube now, I got Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, or Rogue Leader Rogue Squadron 2. Now, for me, Chris, and Connor, Rogue Squadron on the N64 was a very big game for us when we were younger. It was a game that we each independently really liked and really got involved in, and none of us even paid attention to the sequel or the one that after this, the third one. And so I've been interested in getting it. It's just been difficult to come across. But I just finally found a copy sitting around on a shelf somewhere, and I decided to get it. I've looked into the second and third one somewhat, and apparently the third one is a bit of a step back because the second one is just a really refined, really solid game. That's kind of more of the first game if it was much more modern. But apparently the third one focuses on on-foot missions and some other just kind of gimmicky things that take up a lot of your time and don't really end up being as fun as the main gameplay that the series was known for up to this point. So 2 apparently is the place to go if you are interested in this series, as far as I've been told. And as mentioned earlier, I got Medal of Honor Frontline, which I still don't know much about it, but the main person who's been telling me that this is a good game so far is Gabe Ocarina 96, which honestly, when you just get into like Medal of Honor, I just see games all over the place, and there's just like 10 of them on a shelf. They all look the same. I don't know what all is unique about them or what all is interesting, but I guess in general, when I asked around, people really liked Frontline in particular. I got on GameCube just because that's the version that I came across. I hope they don't have some weird aiming mechanism. I hope they just use the C-stick if I'm playing a shooter with that. And, well, we'll go out of console order a little bit, because this next one, that one deserves a lot more of a scene. Then on N64, I got Gex 64, I believe the first of the Gex 64 or something. What is it? Enter the Gecko? I don't really know much of what Gex is. I guess it was kind of a, similar to Conker, kind of a fun 3D platformer that looks like it's for kids, and it's got a lot more adult themes and media references. But, I don't know. I like 3D platformers, I like the N64, and so I figured I'd give it a go. Then on Game Boy Advance, this is technically 2 games, I got Crash Purple and Spyro Orange. It's a combo, and I got this just prior to the Catacris video, which now I kind of know what Spyro Orange is, but I guess Crash Purple is still a very interesting game, but it's just it's like a Pokemon type thing. They just released a game alongside each other for each franchise on the Game Boy Advance, and I guess they both have a very solid standing on the platform regardless of these, but I guess these were not the greatest thing, but I found it for really cheap, and it's 2 games in it, so I think I might give it a go. On Game Boy Color, I got Mario Tennis, which I've heard some really good things about Mario Tennis in general. Definitely not the modern games, but the Game Boy Color and N64 especially, I've heard really good things. I guess they have really solid story modes and RPG elements and like leveling up, and a lot more to them than just a basic tennis game. So I'm interested in seeing what all is going to happen in this, and so I decided to pick it up. And now the game that I've been very, very excited about for a very long time. So I know I said I didn't really make video game wish lists or anything until 2 or 3 years ago, when I started like making lists, like putting things in like my Amazon cart or an eBay watch list, or I don't know what, even like the eShop watch list or whatever on like the 3DS or something. But that was about as close as I ever got, and even then I didn't do much with it. The only time I ever really made a gaming wish list is like, here's 5 games or whatever that I'd like for Christmas or whatever. And that's just kind of been a thing for like the last 10 or 12 years or whatever. But there's one game that I heard mention of before I really even had access to the internet. I don't know who recommended it to me, but it's a game that, since like I have like notes of like my Christmas wish list or whatever, I don't know where I put them, but I have like a list of what my Christmas wish list was, and all the way back to 2009, maybe even earlier than that, on another list, there's a game that I've been wanting, and I've wanted this game for the longest time. I've wanted it so much. I haven't even done that much research on it, but it's been a game that's really caught my interest, and I've really wanted it for almost a decade now, but I've never really been able to get my hands on it because it's just super expensive, very difficult to come across, multiple components to it that you need just to play it correctly, and I ended up getting the Dreamcast just for this one game, and then I still wasn't able to afford the game. And again, on that Facebook marketplace thing, someone just put up a listing for the game, and rather than like $150 or $200 and not the greatest condition, you still need to buy disc 2 or whatever, they're just like, hey, $60, it's in mint condition, complete, never really played at all. And after all this time, I now finally have Skies of Arcadia. I've never been particularly focused on getting the GameCube version. I didn't know a whole lot about the differences, but the GameCube version is still really hard to find. I've never actually seen it in person until this afternoon when I got it. And so it's very interesting. I don't even know if it's necessarily a JRPG or an action RPG, but what interests me a lot is the plot and the settings. It has some very unique ideas from what I've heard, and even, like, no one talks to me about this game. I've asked people about it, I've talked to people about it for years, and most people have no idea what I'm talking about. And even when I was putting this picture around of me having it on a few Discord servers, I had, like, one person recognize it, and it's just not the most popular game. It launched very late on the Dreamcast, and then it just had, like, poof, it was there for like a little bit on the GameCube, and the GameCube itself didn't even sell that well, and it probably didn't have that much marketing behind it as far as I can tell, so it's just been really hard to find. And if you want it on Dreamcast, which is what I was usually going for, then you need to have both discs, and that's where things get really hard on getting that version. But after all this time, I finally have Skies of Arcadia, and I'm very interested in getting into that. Is that it? Is that it? I think that's it. That's probably it. So yeah, that's my recent game pickups between whenever that last video came out and probably like the day before this video goes out. So yeah, just some new games that I got. I'm very interested in getting into a lot of these. A lot of these are actually in the poll, which, if you guys don't know, it's been, well, very publicized on the Discord server, and somewhat shown on my Twitter, but I've never really talked about it on YouTube. But over the summer, I am planning on getting very involved in Twitch. There will still be I'll be starting some YouTube series over the summer, but all of those are already set in stone. They've been decided because I'm playing games with other people, and some of them we have like groups of 2, groups of 3, groups of 4. I think we have one we might do a group of 5, I don't know yet, but those ones we all decide on behind the scenes for YouTube series. And but for Twitch over the summer, I'm planning on playing a lot of Twitch, and so I went through my entire game collection of games that I have still never played before, and I really cut down that list a bunch. I just listed off every single game I had that I have not played before, and the list was crazy, so I narrowed it to the very top picks of mine. Ones where, like, I would not mind dropping everything and just playing that game over the summer, because it's just a game that's really high on my to-do list. So I took all the games that fit that criteria, gave them a short bio, and if you're on the Discord server, you have access to that, and we are doing an anonymous voting poll over direct messages. So that way, if you have questions about a game, because there are some very obscure things in there, like Dragon's Curse and Ninja Spirit, the TurboGrafx 16 games, that just, it's good to have it over DMs, because then we can get a bit more details involved in there, because I'm really trying to balance this out. I'm making sure that every person who takes part in this poll doesn't just vote for like the 1 or 2 games that they have played before. This is any game you are interested in me playing on Twitch, and the list is pretty extensive. You'll definitely find something you like on there, because there's all sorts of genres, all sorts of eras, and they're all still quality games. I didn't put any joke games or stupid games like Sneak King or Scalar or something on there. These are all like really well-reviewed games and critically acclaimed. So yeah, we just have a huge list of those, and whatever votes people give to those, or whatever ones interest people on the Discord poll, we're taking that and going straight down the list. Whatever has the most votes, whatever has the second most votes, whatever has the third most votes, and that's what games I'll be playing over the summer on Twitch. So I'm very excited to get into that. And that's about it for this video. I don't know how much I was looking at the camera or how awake I was for that video, but it's been a very busy week for homework. I didn't actually expect to have a video out in like this time frame. I was expecting to be mostly dormant, but a lot of people were interested in me doing something like this when I brought it up. So there we go, another video, and I guess I should have mentioned that Twitter poll, or that Discord poll. Link's always in the description of every video for that, but that is actually ending on Tuesday. So on Tuesday I'll be totaling all of the votes. You won't be able to vote after that point, and so if you're interested in that, get on the Discord server and message me about it, because then we can get you involved in voting for what we're playing on Twitch this summer. So far we've got something like 60 people who have voted in it, and it's getting very close in like the top 5 games or whatever, so any vote or few votes at this point will really turn the tides on what I'm doing for the next few months. So hey, if you want to join, links below. But yeah, that's it for this. Sorry I rambled, sorry I talked a lot, sorry I was tired, but whatever. I hope it was fun. It was fun for me. It's good to take a break from doing all the stuff that finals entails. So yeah, that was all my new gaming pickups of the last 2 months or so. If you're interested in seeing some of these show up on the Twitch channel, I don't know, you might check down below and there might be something, way to get involved in that. Either way, see you guys in the next video. Hopefully a room tour. I don't know for sure. I can't promise that, but hopefully a room tour.